Good day and welcome to Predators Proclivity, where we look at data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments upon it. I am your host. Yes, I am back. Didn't adjust the microphone correctly before starting. Miss one game and then I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm your host, Preston Proctor. This podcast where we look at data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments upon it. Yes, we're back. 3.5 days without power, so I did not get anything done for the Boston game Tuesday, and we got power back yesterday. We went out for breakfast and we came back. There was power, and then it went out again, and then it came back on, and so we've got a few issues to deal with around the house. Some things didn't respond well to that, but to get to that as we go. Still have ice in the driveway, but we were at least able to get out. Couldn't get out for 2 days. No heat. I think the last 2 days, the temperature in the house in the morning was 37 degrees in the house. We have a fireplace. We had plenty of wood, but it's in the great room, so it's family room. So all it heats up is right in front of you. But we made it. We had plenty of food because Premium and Prudence were supposed to be in town, and they didn't come. So we had plenty of food in the fridge, and the fridge stayed. It's 37 degrees in the house. So who needs a fridge? The freezer seemed to do okay. The ice box is a little locked up. I've got to try to get the ice to unmelt. But otherwise, we are doing fine. Little halitosis. It was actually warmer to go outside. We'd go outside and collect branches and stuff like that for the fire. And it was actually warmer out there. I think as of this morning, 90,000 people still without power. The highest number I saw to begin with was 230,000. I think there were a lot of missteps by the electric service here in Nashville. They had offers from electricians to come help out. They refused them all. And, so here we are, still recovering. And we drove around yesterday and saw power lines down in our neighborhood near our house, and power lines down, and we did not see a single Nashville electric service. We saw one van, just a small van in a driveway. Didn't see anybody, and then there was some company that was removing trees, so that was good. It looked like when we were in Wilkerson County, things were a lot better. So Davidson County. Anyway, so we'll just stop there because that's got nothing to do with hockey. We were able to play the game on Saturday. They did play the game early. They played it at 12:30. I was able to watch that game, and couldn't watch. Well, I guess I could have watched it on my phone. The game Tuesday night. We did tune in just in time to hear the overtime goal. So, trying not to burn through we had a few power packs and we were able to charge our phone. But what we didn't have to worry about, even if we didn't have food, was that we had plenty of bars, gels, blocks, and stuff, including Quantum Energy Squares, quantumsquares.com. Preds Pro gets you 25% off. They say their dark chocolate pink Himalayan salt is like a brownie. Sure. Like I said, I've got a couple of packs coming. The feed had a 30% off sale, so I was taking advantage of that. I had feed credit. I do quite a bit of buying at the feed. And, quantumsquares.com, 25% off every day of the week, not just snow days. And then 21% cozyearth.com. There are some people out there apparently that have 41% off. And they are apparently going to be decreasing their prices starting in March. So the 41% code goes through the end of February was what I was told. But mine doesn't do 41%. So anyway, there you go. There's the promos. And let's take a quick break and get to some hockey. Right. So nothing new on the Preds. The only thing I was looking around and the only thing I saw was basically what I had said in the previous podcast was Bunting and Haula are probably the most likely if the Preds want to make a move because they're both unrestricted free agents at the end of the year. Bunting $4.5 million. To put that in context with other players on the team, Ryan O'Reilly makes $4.5 million. Marcia Show does $5.5 million. So I think if you're looking around at players and are they playing up to their salary, I'd say Bunting would be on the top of my list. Not that he doesn't contribute, just like I said, Brady Skay, good player, not a $7 million defenseman, in my opinion. Do I want to get rid of Skate? Not really. Do I want to get rid of Bunting? Not really. But Bunting is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. If they don't feel like they're going to be able to make some sort of extension with him that would be amenable to both parties, then it might make sense to make a change. They just sent Reed Schaefer back down to Milwaukee. They could bring Schaefer back up. That would give them another forward, and that would be fine. Haula, $3.15 million. I think he is playing to his potential. I don't have a problem with how much he's being paid and his stats. Maybe not as productive lately, but I think that's okay. Unrestricted free agent again at the end of the year. Other unrestricted free agents at the end of the year, Cole Smith, he makes $1 million. I would hope they would be able to extend him. He's 30. Haula's 34. Bunting is 30. So, Bunting is still somebody that has a lot of career ahead of them and a good player, and potentially, we could get value from him. That's all I'm saying. Michael McCarron is also unrestricted at the end of the year. I think he deserves a boost. $900,000 is his salary, and then Tyson Yost is unrestricted at the end of the year, but he's got a two-way contract, $775. He's 27, so somebody for the future. Hopefully, they can come to an agreement with him. And then those are your forwards. On the defensive side, we got Andreas Englund, who they did just call up. They did just call him up. And why did they call him? Oh, yeah, because Nicholas Hague is injured. And so England, $775, unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Blankenberg, $775, unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Blankenberg is 27, England is 30. I would hope they could, they just got England last year, I think from LA. I think, I don't think we need to be messing around with our defensive core, but we do have some good defensemen down in or up in Milwaukee, however you want to put it. So if they felt like they wanted to make a change or somebody came forward looking for a young defenseman and gave value, I think you'd have to consider it, because if somebody's going to give you value for a player and you've got people to replace them with, then, good for you. Just looking down here, we're still, I guess, being charged with $6.5 million for Matt Duchene, which is great. I guess we're still carrying him through the 28-29 season. Kyle Turris, we have a buyout from him, still $2 million going against the cap. And then, looking down here at the non-roster players, Jake Lucchini, an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. One of my favorite guys that I thought could have been here in Nashville this season. Kalen Lund, why do we know him? I think he started out the season in Atlanta, and then they moved him up. Cole O'Hara, another one of my favorites, but not an unrestricted free agent. Navrin Mutter is unrestricted free agent group 6 at the end of the year. And then non-roster defense, Kevin Gravel and Jordan Osterley. Gravel has been with the Preds playing mainly. He think he's the captain down in Milwaukee. Jordan Osterlund, both of those unrestricted free agent, $775. And then Magnus Krona, goaltender, unrestricted free agent, group 6 at the end of this year. That is how that goes. Anyway, so I'm not saying the Preds need to make a change. They need to make a change because they're out of a playoff spot. They need change. They need they've got a 2-game losing streak, so they need to do something to improve their prospects to get into the playoffs. But I'm not exactly sure it means they need to change people. And but assuming, I think what would happen, the way a trade is going to happen, is that people are going to be reaching out to the Preds and see what happens. Maybe the Preds are reaching out to. I don't know. It's hard to say how all that would work. But I don't think like we were tracking Jonathan Marchessault being traded. I don't think that is necessarily. I don't think that's going to happen. I guess what going back to when I was looking at that, just looking at Montreal and Toronto, I don't know why Montreal would trade Oliver Kapanen, but I think if the Preds could get Kapanen, I think that would be a really good addition to the team. And then as far as Toronto went, Nicholas Robertson, Bobby McMahon, Matthias Maccelli were players that I thought could be in the mix, but none of them really make me stand up and pay a whole lot of attention. 8 goals, 11 assists when I was doing this for Robertson, 12 goals, 8 assists for McMahon. Maccelli average stats. Max Domi, I think, was the one that a lot of people were thinking that Toronto would trade. I don't see him making sense here in Nashville, but what do I know? So, yeah, the thing about Kapanen, he's 22, 935, 12 goals and 9 assists back when I was looking at this. 1 year left, and then he's a restricted free agent. So, I think for the future, but why would Montreal? I mean, Montreal's got to have a future too, right? So, anyway, that's just the status there on potential trade deadlines. How about another quick break, and then we can kind of get these things. No idea how long I'm going to go. Okay, so tonight, the New Jersey Devils. We are in New Jersey. I don't know what city they play in. New Jersey Devils have been to New Jersey a couple of times. So in Weehawken once, Weehawken watches, Weehawken necklaces, Weehawken stuff. So tonight at 6 o'clock, Nashville is at the New Jersey Devils. They are 7th in the Metropolitan Division, but don't worry about that. They've got 56 points. They're 27, 24, and 2. At home, they are 12, 10, and 2. They do have the fewest overtime losses in the NHL. They are 1 point behind Washington, who's played one more game. And they are 8 points ahead of the Rangers, who's played one less game. So their 7th place standing in the Metropolitan is not really under assault. But they are, the 3 teams ahead of them are all 1 point ahead of them. And Philadelphia and Columbus have played one less game. Washington has played one more. So this the 4th place And the Metropolitan is still kind of up for grabs, but that is not a playoff position, is the problem with that. The wild card spots currently are taken up by Boston and Montreal, who are tied for fourth in the Atlantic. Montreal gets the nod ahead by having played one less game. They have 5 less regulation wins, so if they had played the same number of games, Boston would be ahead of them. And so New Jersey is 9 points out of a playoff spot. They played one less game than Boston, same number of games as Montreal. And then if trying to get into the third place in the Metropolitan Division, they're 7 points out of that. So I think, the Devils are starting to think about where their position is going to be. And, the Rangers, 50 points, they're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. And just for grins, taking a look here, 39 points at the bottom, Vancouver, then 47 for St. Louis, 48 for Calgary, 49 for Winnipeg, and then 50 for the Rangers, 51 for the Blackhawks, 53 for the Preds. But the Preds still are within reach of a playoff spot, so that doesn't really mean much. But the Rangers, on the other hand, what that puts them fifth. They are currently 15 points out of a playoff spot, and they played one less game than Montreal, the same number as Boston. They just put Panarin, I guess. They just made a move with Panarin for roster management, whatever the heck that means. I'm guessing Panarin might be on the blocks for a trade. But I think, as far as it goes, the Rangers, I think, are the only team right now in the East that would consider themselves not to be potential playoff team. I think the Devils are close. This is where this upcoming break, and I do have a little bit more information about that break. I was curious. I didn't look this up. I didn't see anything on the NHL website, which is where I would expect to get it because I got their important dates PDF. But they are taking a pause between the 6th and the 24th for the Olympics, but trades are paused starting on the 4th. So if you're going to make a trade before the pause, it has to happen by 3 p.m. Eastern time on the 4th, which is next Wednesday. And then they can't make trades again until basically the 23rd of February. Midnight on the 22nd is when the pause for trades ends. So any potential moves would have to happen before the 4th or after the 22nd. And which is, another reason when you start taking a look at who's injured and when they're anticipated coming back, you got to remember there's this 2.5 week break coming up for the Olympics, which I guess is fine. I'm not really an Olympics kind of guy, so I don't really care. I want Team USA to win. But as far as coverage goes, typically, bad memories from the past, showing women's figure skating and those compulsories where they had to, push off at exactly the same place. And they're showing that, and they're not showing luge or bobsledding or anything that I like. So I just don't bother to watch. I've never gone back. I do other things with my time. I check the scores, see, where where Team USA is. And then other than that, I'm just not into, I don't have the Olympic spirit. We'll get into this, I guess, a little bit more. We'll hold off on the Western Conference until we do Nashville. Why not? But anyway, so as far as the Eastern Conference goes, the Rangers are the only team I say right now are definitely out of the playoffs. The Devils have to do something before the upcoming pause, but that only gives them a couple of games. And so finishing up here with New Jersey, this is the second of a 2-game homestand for them. They did just lose Tuesday to Winnipeg 3-4, so they're 0-1 in this homestand. Their last homestand, they were 1-1. So hopefully that won't be up. Next for them is 1 on the road and then 2 more at home before the pause, and then they've got a home game when they come back. But yeah, they have 3 more games between now and the pause, 1 on the road, or I guess 4 counting tonight. So tonight, then 1 on the road and 2 at home. And then I think reasonably for the Devils, they have to win all 4 in order to consider it. If they lose all 4, forget about it. But yeah, I think these 4 games are critical for where they're at. So you'd like to think that they're going to be pressing, and who knows how that's going to make them play. As far as the series goes, this is the first game between these 2 teams. They won't meet again until March 26th here in Nashville. It should be warmer and drier than it. I think it's a beautiful day. It's been beautiful, by the way. All the trees. We got about 4 inches of snow on Saturday, and then overnight we got a bunch of freezing rain, which is the problem. And so, I mean, I'm 6'2", about 200 pounds, and I'm walking across the stuff, and it's not cracking, and I'm pounding on it, and I can't get it to break. And it just doesn't break. It's really amazing. And then we were working on the patio, and our front patio, I broke off a layer of ice, and then there was a second layer of ice. So, but all the trees were covered in ice, which is why we have problems, because all the trees got covered in ice and then they fell down. Some huge trees down in people's house. I hit people's houses, and took out the power lines and all that stuff. But the ones that are standing and not bending over and about to break something are all glistening in the sun. And so it's just beautiful looking at that part of it. But you can take that and go. I've got the memory. I don't need it here anymore. Anyway, so we will meet again in March. Last year, the Devils did win both games. Did a little research on this because November 25th, they won 5-2 in New Jersey, and then February 23rd, 5-0 in Nashville. Last year, New Jersey scored 5 goals on Nashville, both games. Total last year, 82 games regular season, 19 games last year. So about a quarter of their games, they scored 5+ goals. And 129, January 29th, that's today's date. Last year they played on the same date. I think they scored 5 on that date. So maybe that's a little bit of I don't know. Anyway, moving on. So they had 13 that had happened by the 1st or the 29th of January last year. This year, they've only had 6 games where they've scored 5 goals or more. So, I don't think we need to worry about them scoring 5 goals against us in the 2 games this year. We'll see. I hope not, because the Preds would have to score 6 to win. Anyway, they do have a number of people that are injured, including number 12 center Cody Glass, 3 years with the Preds. He's day-to-day starting on the 27th. Expected back today, so who knows? It was listed as personal reasons, so no idea why he's out. Number 11, right wing Stefan Noesen, day-to-day as of the 10th, expected back on February 3rd. And then number 21, center Mark McLaughlin, week-to-week expected back on the 28th of February. I didn't have a date as to when he went out. And then number 43, defenseman Luke Hughes, who is in our stat list, week to week as of the 21st of January, expected back March 3rd. And then number 15, right wing Zach McEwen, out for the season as of January 10th, not expected back until next year, September 15th. They did have a trade. The most recent trade did include the Islanders and the Devils. Islanders and the Devils. Who's in what division? I'm still the Islanders and the Devils. Okay, so they're in the same division. And the discussion about the trade was primarily about Andre Palat going to the Islanders. This is weird. I think they got this wrong again. Sometimes the NHL site has the draft picks wrong. Go figure. So looking in here, I thought it was. No, I guess it is right. So the Islanders get Andre Palat, a third-round pick in 2026 and a sixth-round pick in 2027. And that was, and talking about Andre Palat was the big thing about this article. And then you get down to, they gave up Palat, who I remember seeing his name, didn't see that he had outstanding stats, but Islanders got Palat and 2 picks for Maxim Tisplakov. So, I mean, you'd think that it would be, a trade to make the Devils better. Tsyplakov was Tsyplakov. Goodness gracious. Maybe the T's silent. I don't know. Tsyplakov. Let's go with Tsyplakov. 2 goals. He's got 2 points in 27 games, so obviously they didn't get him for his scoring. So I don't. And then it goes on to talk about how the Islanders were involved in yet another trade. So I don't. It seems like this is a trade mainly for Islanders, but I don't know. But there's a new guy for the Devils, Tsyplakov, and so this trade happened on the 27th. I guess interesting, the 26th, the Islanders had a trade with the Rangers, getting defenseman Carson Soucy for a third-round pick in next year's draft. Carolina had a trade with Buffalo. They got forward Victor Nushev for defenseman Gavin Bayreuther. And then back on the 20th, I think we already covered that one. So they did have this trade. That's the only real transactional data that I saw for New Jersey. They called somebody up like about a week ago, but if it doesn't happen in a couple of days, I don't bother to report on it. Anyway, so they made a trade. They got this guy, but as far as I can tell, it's not really for it's not for scoring. So I don't know what the deal is going to be. I guess I can even look in here and see. Well, they've got him playing on the second line. So second line right wing. So must, expecting something. Maybe he hasn't lived up to his potential, had higher potential. I don't know. Anyway, that's the Devils and everything I can tell you about the Devils, plus more. Coming up, we'll start talking about the Preds. Right, so the Preds are 5th in the Central, been in the 5th for quite a while now, 53 points, 24, 23, and 5. On the road, they are 10, 11, and 3, close to almost, could have a winning record. They're 7 points now behind Utah, quite a few points. They played one less game. They are still 2 points ahead of Chicago, and they played one less game than Chicago. So looking, 5th, pretty steady. Winnipeg's down at 49 points, 4 points behind. St. Louis is 6 points behind. So, the thing about the Central Division is that it's unlikely for anybody to be in the top 3 for the divisional spots except Colorado, Minnesota, and Dallas. I say that Utah has climbed to 9 points behind Dallas and 10 points behind Minnesota. So maybe if one of these other teams kind of fall and Utah is able to stay on a run, I guess Utah is 8-1-1 in their last 10. Dallas 5-4-1. Minnesota 5-3-1. Ooh, Colorado is 4-4-2 in their last 10. But I heard something the other day. I don't know if they're planning on coasting into the playoffs at this point or what. I don't know. But nobody really seems to be doing right now well in the Central, except for Utah. So Winnipeg is 6-2-2, but everybody else is like have 5 or less. St. Louis 2-7-1. 2-7-1. So I think that as far as the teams here in the bottom 2/3 of the Central Conference, looking for the wild card spots is what they're doing. Utah is currently in a wild card spot. They have that wild card spot, and they're 3 points ahead of the teams. There are 3 teams that are tied at 57 points. San Jose does get the nod there for the second wild card spot because they played. Well, they've got the regulation win advantage over LA, and they have played one less game than Seattle. But Seattle has the regulation win advantage over San Jose. So if San Jose plays another game, if they don't get any points out of that, then Seattle will jump back up to the second wild card spot. So the Preds are 4 points behind that bevy of 3 teams competing for the teams that are currently competing for the second wild card spot. Anaheim is at 59 points. They're the 3rd team in the Pacific. They were another one of those teams that was popping in and out of the second wild card spot, but they've won a couple games, and so they've got a 2-point advantage on San Jose. But you could see how that San Jose, I guess, is 7-3-0 in their last 10, which is the same thing as Anaheim. But I think the Pacific 3 and the Wild Card 2, I think they're going to be a lot of shuffling in there. And so the only thing to stop the Pacific from getting one of the wild card spots is for Nashville to start playing a little bit better. Of course, Chicago could get up in there. But when you start looking back down here in the Western Conference, Vancouver at 39 points. They're 18 points out of the second wild card spot. St. Louis is 10, but they played 2 more games they played more games than any of the teams competing for the second wild card spot, but 2 more than San Jose and LA. So that's just, it's a little bit more than 10 points. And like I said, St. Louis 2-7-1 in their last 10. Calgary at 48 points, 3-5-2 in their last. The only team looking like maybe they're trying to make a run is Winnipeg. But they are 8 points out of a playoff spot. It's as far as how things look here in the Western Conference, I'd say Vancouver's definitely out. Again, come the break, I think you see teams like St. Louis and Calgary recognize that what they're going to be doing is getting ready for the future and not this year's postseason. Maybe Winnipeg's been making a run, so maybe they'll stick around. But we're going to be coming up on this break, and we'll see where teams think they are. As I kind of gone through all where Nashville is as far as the wildcard teams go. As far as this particular, what they're doing between now and the break, this is the second game. Tonight is the second game of a 3-game road trip. They're 0-1 on this road trip, having lost in overtime to Boston on Tuesday. Saturday, the MYI, not the Metropolitan York Islanders, the New York Islanders, so that's NYI, not MYI, NYI. So Saturday, the New York Islanders come in. That'll be the end of the road trip. Then they get 2 at home. And so then after the Islanders, they'll have 3 more games before the pause. 2 of them are at home, and then the second game is the front end of a back-to-back. So they'll be here at Nashville for 2, playing St. Louis on Monday, then Minnesota on Wednesday, and then they'll go to Washington on Thursday, and then they'll have their pause. So counting tonight's game, the Preds have 5 games between now and that pause. Out is number 42 defenseman Nicholas Hague. He's week to week. I think I heard that going into the game the other night, but I'm still not actually sure when. Not expected back until after the pause. No surprise. And then also injured is number 40 center Fedor Zvechkov, day-to-day as of the 27th, but he was reassigned to Milwaukee. And which is okay. I guess that way they get him off the cap list, get him out off the roster, so they can have roster space. And what they did was they called up a defenseman, number 27, number 8 defenseman Andreas Englund has been recalled from Milwaukee, so I guess he'll be stepping in for Haig, with Haig being out. I did have this just up. Let's see. They got Skay and Yossi, Wilsby, Perbix, Blakenberg, and Barron. So I guess he'll be an available defenseman potentially to step in for Haig. I don't think this makes sense because Skay was on the second line and Haig was with Yossi, but now we got Wilsby, Perbix, Blakenberg, and Barron. I don't know about this. I guess we'll see. Game time whether or not this potential works or not. I wouldn't do that because you're breaking up all three lines. I think you could do better than that. Skay, I think, has typically been on the second line of the defense. So, I think Skay, Perbix, and then, but Wilsby's back. You could put Wilsby with Yossi. I would keep the defensive lines together and I don't think Skay and Yossi together makes sense. But maybe it will. I mean, Skay, once again, the other night made on the Saturday, his anticipation for what's going to happen, I think, is his, I hate using this term, superpower. He's a rock star. But I think, that is the value that he brings is his ability to anticipate what the other team is going to be doing. And so maybe playing with Yossi, that, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess at least it's a defensive pairing. I don't think we've seen a lot, if we've seen it at all. I don't know. The other thing, Adam Wilsby, we talked about him. So on the 24th, he was activated, expected to come back, first the 16th, then the 20th, then the 22nd, and then the 24th. And now on the 24th, he played the 24th, so I think that's when it came back. Activated Wilsby and recalled Englund. So those are the two defensive moves, and then reassigned injured center Zvechkov to Milwaukee. So that's your Predators and your Western Conference wrap up, and we'll go head to stats next. Right, so stats. I know this was a home thing. I did look up one of the things that bothered me, but we'll save that to when we play a home game, which is coming up soon, next week. Anyway, so the Preds are 10, 11, and 3. 10, 11, and 3 on the road. That's 24, which means 20 statistically is 20 is a magic number for statistical relevance. So overall, we have some statistical relevance. So let's talk first about when the first goal is being scored and the result. So when the Preds get the first goal on the road, they are 4-1-1. So that's pretty good, but it's not very often. So, 6 times they've gotten the first goal out of 24 games. 6 times out of 24 games. And I think even if I take a look at the post-Sweden numbers, it did not like that. Why didn't it like that? That's the end date. I didn't want that to be the end date. I want it to be the start date. Oh, that worked out a lot better. Duh. Okay, I got something else to fix here. But anyway, so, 4-1-1, so 6 times out of the 24 games, they've gotten the first goal. And out of the 16 games since they came back from Sweden, they've gotten 4 of them. So that's 25%. It's still not optimal, but whatever. They've got about a 2-1 advantage, depending on how you want to count it. 4-1 as far as winning in regulation, which is awesome. If it happens in the first period, 3-1-0 for the Preds. And if it happens in the second period, 1-0-1. If the Preds do not get the first goal, it's not that bad. 6-10-2. That's not that bad of a record. I guess technically it's 6-12, so a 2-1 advantage for the other team for winning. If it happens in the first period, the Preds are 6-9-2, and then if it happens in the second period, a whopping 1 data point, 0-1-0. So out of the 24 road games that the Preds have had, the first goal happening in the second period is only 3 times this year, so that's not a lot. 5 times for the home games. They've played 28 home games, but not in the third period yet. Not in the third period. But yeah, so a 2-1 advantage maybe, let's say, for the opposition if they get the first goal, and 2-1 for the Preds. But, you know, what is that? 6-18. So a 3-1 potential for the opposing team to get the first goal. So there you go. Those are beautiful stats. But can't wait to move on from that. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, let's move on from those. Okay, so let's talk about, oh, goodness gracious. Winning by period. Well, you know, the Preds have been terrible in the first period on the road. Better since they came back from Sweden. I think before they went to Sweden, it was like 10 games, and I think they scored 1 goal in the I'm still not exactly sure why that doesn't work, but, you know, we'll worry about that later. It used to work. It used to. 11-25-25. 11-20. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so they had only scored 1 goal on the road in the first period. They are finally up to 16, but I'll get to the goal scoring later. But they're being outscored 2-1 in the first period. So their home record, or the record in the first period on the road, is 4-13-7. So a coin flip between losing and either tying or winning, and then between winning and tying, you know, it's almost a 2-1 advantage there that they tie it. So 11 times they have won it or tied it, and 13 times they've lost it. That's just great numbers. If they do get the first goal, they are 2-0-4 in the first period, so that's at least a winning record. If they get it in the first period, they are 2-0-2. And so then if they don't get the first goal, they're 2-13-3 in the first period. Just looking at the number, the goal scoring in the first period, 2-13-2. So not getting the first goal in the first period, they've only won the first period twice, and they've only tied it 3 times. So that's not stellar. But, you know, we see that when we look at the goal scoring with regards to the first period. You see exactly why that happens. If they do not get the first goal and it happens in the first period, it's only happened 1 time, then that scenario hasn't happened. So sounds very similar to what we just talked about, 2-13-2. Of course, if the first goal happens in the second period and the Preds get it, they're undefeated, 2-0-0, and they've just never, ever lost, never, ever won if the first goal on the road happens in the second period, and that's 1 data point. 1-0, never won, didn't even tie a game all season long. Wow. Yawn. Anyway, okay, so the Preds, though, in the second period, not bad, 8-8-8. So a coin flip for any result. Spin the dial, take a look, shake the magic 8 ball. Who knows what's going to happen in the second period? Everything has happened in the second period. They're 8-8-8. And let's move to the third period. A winning record in the third period. Wow. Yes, 9, 7, and 8. Fairly close to being a coin flip, but hey, that is a winning record. And it honestly, looking at all of their, the only other period that has a winning record is the shootout. And that's the shootout at home, 3-0-0. They have not had a shootout on the road. But every other period, they have a losing record. Okay, they're tied in the second period on the road, but the third period, at least they do have a winning record. They don't have, as far as their home record goes, the shootout is the only period where they have a winning record. And that, so these numbers are just not really where you'd kind of like to be. But yeah, in the third period, they are 9, 7, and 8. But hey, all that is academic, because what matters? Who won the game? Who won the game? Did we win the game? Well, let's take a look. On the road, the Preds have won the first period 4 times. They're 3-1 in those games, so that's good. 13 times they've lost the first period, 2-11. 2-11 in those games, not so good. And then the 7 games that they tied, 5-2. So winning and tying, pretty good. Losing the first period is not, that's 5.5 to 1. So 2/11, right? So it's 18%. So they've got an 82% chance of losing the game if they lose the first period. That just, this kind of numbers just make you shiver. They lost the first period against Boston the other night, right? Boston got a goal. They tied the second, won the third, lost in overtime. Second period of wins about the same, still 3-1, except that they've won the second period 8 times, so they're 6-2 in those. 2-6 when they have lost the second period. 2-6 when they tie. So the only winning record for them is to win the second period. I like that. Second period for the Preds last year was abysmal, and 2 years ago it wasn't good. This year, hands down, the first period away is the biggest problem they've got. The second biggest problem is power plays in the second period, both home and away. We'll get to that later. Preds did get a power play goal against Boston in the second period. They might have doubled the number they've gotten on the road, but we'll get to those numbers later. The next numbers we're going to do right now is the third period. The third period, 9 times they have won the third period. They're 5-4, so that's not so swift. 7 times they've lost the third period. They've lost every one of those games. 8 times they have tied it, 5-3. So yeah, the stats in the third period, not that great. Let's take out the empty nets and see where we're at. So taking out empty nets, the Preds have now won the third period 9 times, which is the same number, except they are 3-6 without empty nets. With taking out the empty nets, they've only lost the third period 5 times instead of 7, 1-4 in those, and then so all of the rest go into the ties. So 10 times they would have tied the third period, and they're 6-4 in those games. And that takes us to the combinatorics of the first and second period. I have the combinatorics between the second and the third period, and I tend not to look at those. I'm going to take a quick glance here. I do the win the second, tie the third. That's happened 4 times. But let's just stick to the first and second period, because that pretty much sets up the third period, right? And then the thing that has happened the most times, let's just start there, is to lose the first, shocker, and tie the second, 7 times out of, 24 games. So that's 2/7, right? 14, 28, so 28% of the time. They've lost the first and tied the second. Not a good result, 1-4-2. And those results, not really surprising. You lose 2 periods, you lose the game. You win 2 periods, you win the game. In general, there are those caveats that we've talked about. Next up, in frequency is to tie the first and win the second 5 times, and the Preds are 4-0-1 in those games, so that is good. Let's just to make this make a lot more sense. Let's back up here for a second. Scenario that has not happened yet this season in 24 games to win the first and tie the second. That has not happened yet. And tying the first and tying the second has only happened once. And they won that game. So tying the second has predominantly happened when they lose the first. So tying the second has happened 8 times, and they lost the first period 7 of those times and tied the first the other time. That tie, of course, the tie the first, tie the second, they won that game. But so tying the second, I think we went through this already. Tying the second, they're 2-6, right? So, not a good scenario to tie the second. Don't like that at all. And there's just a switch up between the home games, because home games I pull for them to tie the second because they're undefeated, and those when they tie, well, they're undefeated when they tie the first, tie the second. Anyway, so a pretty decent record. Tying the second period doesn't work out well, regardless of the scenario of the first. Losing the second, another scenario that doesn't turn out very well. Oh, goodness gracious. 3 times they've won the first and then lost the second, and they're 2-1 in those. At least I guess that's a winning record. Losing the first, losing the second 4 times, lost all 4 of those. Tying the first, losing the second 1 time, 0-1-0. So yeah, if they yeah, pretty much if they tie the first, whatever happens in the second controls the destiny. Because if they've won, if they tie the first and win the second, that's happened 5 times, and they're 4-0-1. And tying the first, losing, tying this. I mean, both of those times only happened once. So 7 times they've tied the first period, and 5 of the 7 times they win the second. Only once they lost, once they tied. The loss was a loss for the game. The tied was a win. So I don't know. Maybe that's still the scenario I got to pull for, is to tie, if because they have not won. Win the first, win the second. That's only happened once, and undefeated there. Lose the first, win the second twice, and 1-1. I guess 8 times they've won the second period, and in those scenarios they're 6-1-1. They've got to win, and regardless of what happens in the first one, but if they tie the first, winning the second is their best combinatoric scenario here. You'd like to think that winning the first, but they haven't won the first that much, and when they win the first and lose the second, they're 2-1. So I guess that look at that 4 times they've won the first, and they're 3-1-0 in those games. 3-1-0 or 4-0-1. I'll take the 4-0-1. Of course, if you go across the scale with that, that's actually 5-1-1. If you go tying the first, 5-1-1, winning the first, 3-1-0. 5-1-1, 3-1-0. That's a 75% chance. 5 or 5/7. What was that? Well, again, was 7th was 14, right? So 5 would be 80. That's an 80% chance versus 75% chance. Yeah, boy, I hate pulling. I hate that. I hate that. Well, anyway, so we've talked about those combinatorics, and so that'll take us to goal scoring. Right, and so we start off goal scoring by talking about how badly they're being outscored in the first period. 2-1, 16-33. They're being outscored 16-33 in the first period, and they're barely outscoring the opposition when they win the game. When they've won the game, they've outscored their opposition 12-11. So that's not stellar. When they've lost the game, they've been outscored 4-22 in the first period. Definitely get off to a bad start on the road. Something that is better than it had been, but still not something that they are doing very well at. The on-the-road goal scoring is someplace they have got to improve, especially if they make the playoffs, because they're going to be on the road predominantly because they won't have home ice advantage at all. And so if they're going to be playing on the road in the playoffs, they better get this scoring stuff figured out. Second period is a little bit better, 19-21, so they're just being outscored by 2 there. Heavily weighted towards the team that wins. When they win, they're outscoring their opponents 12-5, and they're being outscored 7-16 when they lose. So roughly a little bit more than 2-1 in both directions towards the winning team, I guess. In the third period, for a while, the Preds were the top-scoring road team in the third period. I'm not sure. We'll get to that later. But they are still outscoring their opponents 33-30 in the third period. And when they win, they're outscoring their opponents 17-7. And then when they lose, they've only been outscored by 7. That's a pretty close margin there in the third period, even when they lose. So, yeah, their goal scoring in the third period has been pretty good, and which is fine. I mean, the third period is when everything gets decided, but it'd be nice if they could set themselves up better for the third period. And, I would definitely prefer that. Skipped over the winning goal, so let's get to that now. On the road, the winning goal in games the Preds are in anyway, predominantly being scored in the third period 8 times, 33%. Next up is the second period with 7, 29%, and then 5 times in overtime and 4 in the first. When the Preds win, half the time, 50%, they've gotten the winning goal in the third period. That's 5. Overtime and second period have 2 each, and then the first period. The first period has a winning goal in it, even though they haven't scored that much in the winning goal or won. They're 4-13-7 in the first period, and they have scored the winning goal in the first period. That had to be like a 1-0 game. That had to be. I know I hate doing this, but I've got to look this up. On the road win. Wow, no. That was Vegas. They scored 3 goals in the first period, and Vegas scored 2. They won that game 4-2. They scored 3 goals in the first period. Like that. I like that. They said they scored 3 goals against Calgary in the first period. They won that game too. So, I'm liking that. Not only did they get the winning goal in the first period, boy, did they score. 4-2. So it wasn't like a 1-0 head scratcher. What am I doing? Winning goal, right? Wrong. Let's move to the correct sheet. When the opposition wins, with the Preds being on the road 36% of the time, second period. So 5 times it has been in the second period. Next up is an even first, third, and overtime 3 times. So 21% in each of those periods. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So I guess the second period we have 3 as well. So fairly even. Couple blips more in the second. When the home team wins in Preds games, 28 times that has happened, 9 times in the third period, 32%. Next up is the second period with 7, then overtime with 5, 4 in the first, 3 in a shootout. And road team, 24 times. The road team has won 9 as well. In the third period, 38%. The second period has 8. I think before it was, I think Boston got the winning goal in the second period. Before it was like 9 in the third and 2 in the second in both scenarios, but that couldn't have been Boston because this is road team. The road team wins. That was that would have been the game before that. Anyway, so yeah, and then moving on 4 times in overtime, 3 times in the first. So yeah, predominantly still second, third period. Winning goal being scored, not real surprising. It was a couple of seasons we had a real spike, I'd have to say, in when the winning goal was being scored. But this year, when in Predators games anyway, it's really tight on the between the second and third period. Overall for the Preds, 46% of the time they're scoring the winning goal in the third periods, and that's overall, that's home and away. So 46% of the time in the third period, and with 11, and then when the Preds lose, 11 times the winning goal is being scored the second period, which is only 39%. So, but yeah. So there's, I think a couple of years ago it was if the home team. That's why I started looking at home team winning, road team winning, because the Preds winning predominantly they would get it in the third, but if they but they would on the road they would get it in the third, at home they get in the second. It's the same sort of thing, and so I started looking at the combinatorics of just the road team versus the home team, and seeing how that worked itself out. Okay, so that takes us through the winning goal and goal scoring, and so next up is the matchups. And in the matchups, what do we talk about? Well, we talk about goal scoring, so let's keep talking about goal scoring. Okay, so we are playing the New Jersey Devils, and the Preds are on the road. So hopefully I can keep this straight. Like I said, I really need to fix this. I'm going to put a note in here, fix this sheet. I don't know that anybody will see it, but hopefully we'll get some of our production staff working on this. Yeah, this is one of your sheets. So our newest addition to the production staff is in charge of these 2 spreadsheets that we're going through right now. So the Preds are on the road, which means the Devils are at home. The Devils have played 24 games at home. Their 26 teams have played more home games than them. 3 have played the same and 2 have played less. And I'm going to say it again. This is why I look at the per game scoring. The Preds have played 24 road games, which is in the same situation as New Jersey. The 27 teams have played more. 3 have played the same, and 1 has played less. So the Devils and the Predators, with regards to the number of games they've played in this scenario, both teams are in the bottom of the league with regards to the number of games that they have played. Ergo, any goal scoring that you talk about, they may sound good or may not sound good, most likely not sound good, but then you have to take a look at how it works out as far as, on a per game basis, which is what we're about to do. So the Devils, Preds are at home, which means the Preds are on the road, means the Preds are away, Devils are home. Okay, so not going to matter too much for New Jersey. Wow, they are not a high goal scoring team. Okay, so they are 27th in the league in goal scoring at home, 2.67. 2.67 for New Jersey. League average is 3.11. And so then we look at the first period. They're 17th in the league, which is roughly they're roughly at the NHL average, 0.88 in the first period. 0.89 is the league average. They dropped to 29th in the league in the second period, 0.83, and league average 1.09 for a home team. Still, home teams in the league are scoring less goals in the third period than the second, and at least New Jersey follows that trend. They fall to 31st in the league in scoring in the third period, 0.79 goals for at home, and league average is 1.05. So just looking at the raw numbers here, they have scored 21 goals in the first, 20 in the second, and 19 in the third. So fairly consistently, I'd say goal scoring across. I mean, they played 24 games. They, not scoring a goal a game at all. But yeah, so. But yeah, their goal scoring looks fairly even across the period, so they drop in the rankings because the goal scoring across the NHL goes up from the first to the second and down from the second to the third, but but between the first and the third, goal scoring for home teams is still 19% higher from the first to the third, and New Jersey doesn't follow that trend at home. So what about goals against? And so the Devils are at home, and so goals against overall they're 20th in being scored on, which is good for them. 2.88 goals being scored against, league average of 3.01. So they are below league average in being scored on. And since they're not a high goal scoring team, I guess that's good. They're scored 2.674 and 2.88 against. They're on the wrong side of that equation. I think when I looked at all the playoff teams last year scored more goals than they gave up. I think at least the top 12. And everybody that made it to the second round. So this is not a good scenario for them moving forward. In the first period, they are 13th in the league in being scored against, 0.92 goals against, league average 0.86. They dropped to 23rd in the league with the same number, 0.92 goals against, but the league average is 0.99. And then they tick up just a tad, 0.96. So they're 28th in the league being scored on in the third period, 0.96, league average 1.07. Again, glancing up to the raw numbers, they've given up 22 goals in the first, 22 goals in the second, 23 goals in the third. Very, very consistent goal scoring for and against New Jersey, very consistent across all the different periods. Good for them. They've given up 69 goals. They've scored 64. And that's on the road. No, that's at home. Sorry, that's at home. They're at home. The Preds are on the road. I almost got through one team anyway. So there you go. They don't give up a lot of goals across the periods, less than one goal a game. Less than what, 0.96? 28, yeah. Oh, yeah, 28th, 23rd, 13th. Right. 69 per period. Not less than a goal a game per period. There we go. Because 2.88 is more than one. Anyway, so how about the Preds? We're going to look at the Preds. So let's highlight this row so we can hopefully get through this correctly. The Preds on the road are 21st in the league in scoring on a per game basis. 2.92 goals a game. League average 3.01. So only less than a tenth of a goal below league average. Doesn't sound so bad. They are 28th in the league in goal scoring in the first, 0.67 goals a game for. League average for road team, 0.86. So they're almost 2 tenths below. They even go further down in the league in the second period. They're 29th in the league, but the goal scoring goes up. Just not as much as everybody else. 0.79 goals for in the second period. League average 0.99 for a road team. So they're solidly 0.2 of a goal below average. And then, here we are, third period. They are the top goal-scoring team per game on the road in the NHL. They are first in the third period, scoring 1.38 goals a game. League average 1.08. So 0.3 of a goal more per game for the Preds in the third period. That is outstanding. They're not setting themselves up too well for victory going across it. But it only matters if they give up a lot of goals. And so where are they at with goals against? And yes, they are fifth in the league, giving up 3.63 goals a game. 3.63 goals a game League average 3.12. So they're giving up half a goal more overall than league average. They are tops. They are tops. They are the top in being scored on in the first period, giving up 1.38 goals a game. League average for a road team is 0.89. 0.89. So they are about half a goal ahead of league average, giving up goals in the first period. The same number is in the third. That's funny. They've scored 33 goals. They've scored 33 goals in the third, and they've given up 33 goals in the first. All right, let's move on. What about the second period? Second period, hey, that's a good number, 0.88. So they are below league average. They're 29th in the league in giving up goals on the road in the second period, 0.88. League average, 1.09. So, yeah, 0.2. I think they were 0.2 behind themselves in scoring, and they're 0.2 behind in giving them up. So the second period looks pretty good. But then, hey, after doing that, they decide, well, let's just let them go. And they are third in the league. They're not third in the league. They're sixth in the league in the third period, giving up 1.25 goals against. League average 1.06. So almost 0.2 of a goal more. Of course, they're 0.3 of. There's just a lot of scoring for the Preds in the third period, for and against. That's what that tells you. Unfortunately, the Preds also give up a lot of goals in the first period. So they give up a lot of goals in the first period, give up a lot of goals in the third period. The second period is when they let the opposition take a rest. After scoring all those goals, I guess you've got to have a rest somewhere. So the second period, the Preds aren't going to score anyway, so it's not like they got to worry about anything. But anyway, yeah. So, what do I think? What is my stupid prediction for tonight that never falls out? I don't know. The Devils are average in the league in scoring in the first period. The Preds have given up 33 goals in 24 games. I'm saying the Devils are going to get a goal, and they'll probably get the first goal in the first period. Of course, Buffalo. Buffalo gives up goals too. Nope. I'm going to change that. The Preds are going to get the first goal, but we're going to have a tied first period. I don't think there'll be any scoring in the second period, and then in the third period, one team will get 2 goals, another team will get 1. So I think the final score will be 3-2. Hopefully, the Preds come out on top. So that is your what is exactly not going to happen prediction, but we'll run with it anyway. What about special teams? And probably time for a nice break here. Okay, special teams. Preds are on the road, so let's take a look at the penalty kill. The Devils are 18th in the league at 78.6%, 12 goals against on 56 opportunities. They've scored 1 shorthanded goal. Times shorthanded per games played, they are 31st in the league, so not a frequent team to take a penalty, looks like. And 22nd in the league in getting scored against. So those numbers don't go in a favorable direction. So they don't take that many penalties, but they're almost league average, I guess, in goals against per games played. As far as the Preds penalty kill, 26th for a road team, 75.4%, 17 goals against on 69 opportunities. They've given up 5 more goals on 13 more opportunities, but they have scored a shorthanded goal. As far as time shorthanded per games played, they're 23rd in the league, so below league average. Goals against per games played, though, 12th. So those times shorthanded versus goals against goes in the wrong direction for both of those teams. But yeah, both of those teams in the lower part of the league as far as times that they pick up a penalty. And so looking at the power play, though, the Devils are 10th in the league, for a home team, 22.9%. 16 goals on 70 opportunities. They have not given up a shorthanded goal. As far as power play opportunities per games played, they are in the bottom part of the division, 24th in the league. Goals for per games played, though, 14th. So that moves in the right direction. 24th in the league in times on the power play, but 14th in the league in scoring. So that's good. Preds power play, also good. 14th in the league, 22.2%. 16 goals, same number of goals for. 72 opportunities, so 2 more opportunities, but the same number of goals. Also have not given up a shorthanded goal. The Preds, however, power plays per games played, they are in the upper half of the league, 7th in the league in power plays per games played. Goals for per games played, 11th, so that number not really going in the right direction. But yeah, in this case, the Preds are shorthanded a little bit more than the Devil. How do I keep on say Buffalo? But power play, definitely, the Preds are on the power play a lot more than, not a lot more, I guess, relatively on a game per games played. I guess 72 versus 70. They both played 70 games. They both played 24 games, and they both had roughly 70, 72, same number of opportunities on the power play. But yeah, the Preds for a road team have, I guess they tend to get a little bit more on the power play than other road teams. So let's take a quick look at my special teams spreadsheet and see. Okay, so we are looking at away games. So in the first period, the Preds are 30% on their power play, but so are the opponents. The Preds have scored 6 goals on 20 opportunities. The opponents have scored 8 goals on 27 opportunities for 30%. So, yeah. Power plays in the first period when the Preds are on the road are fairly productive. That's scary. I thought about this the other day. I need to combine combine these until I can just take a look. The Preds are not as successful in the second period, even though they did get a power play in the second period the other night. They are only 11% in the second period, 4 times on 35 opportunities. So that is the most opportunities that they get in a game is in the second period by a lot. They get 38 opportunities overall in the first and third, but 35 in the second. So almost half their opportunities are coming in the second period, and they're only 11%. They've got 4 goals. That includes the one they scored the other night. And so that's not very good. The opponents are at 23%. They're only getting 22 opportunities, but they've scored on 5 of those. So they have more goals on less opportunities. So the opposition is still productive in the third period. In the second period, and well, in the third period too. I'll just give that away. But the third period, the Preds do rebound 22%. The least number of opportunities they've had on the power play on the road is in the third period, 18 times, and they've scored 4 goals. So they've scored the same number of power play goals in the second and third period, but they've had twice the opportunities in the second period, 18 to 35. So that's they definitely need to improve the second period power play. Anyway, last year, just throwing this out, last year the Preds had a really had a bad overall record, but last year they were 30% in the second period. So on the road, 30%. This year, 11%. But they were terrible in the first and third, 14 and 10%. They were amazing on the power play, penalty kill in the first period. They didn't give up a first period power play goal until like the last third of the season. The opponents overall last year were 7%. This year, they're 30%. So there's been a real switch in the penalty kill power play percentages from last year to this year. The opponents are at 20% in the third period. They have also scored 4 goals. They've had 20 opportunities. So the least number of opportunities for penalties when the Preds are on the road is the third period, which is kind of surprising. 18 for the Preds, 20 for the opponents. The most opportunities for the opponents does come in the first period. For the most opportunities for the Preds comes in the second period. Of course, the opponents are getting their most opportunities in the first, and they've got their highest scoring percentage at 30%. So that those are two numbers that don't line up very well. And I guess the same thing for the Preds: the highest number of opportunities in the second, and the least number of goals in the second. So those two scenarios don't work out. So hopefully the Devils don't get a power play in the first period, and hopefully I don't know. I can't pull for the Preds not to get a power play because you always get an opportunity to score like they did against Boston the other night. Anyway, so that's your special teams, which takes us to players to watch, people to watch. And in the people to watch, we have brothers playing for New Jersey, Luke and Jack Hughes. Luke is he was defenseman. He is the youngest of the Hughes brothers. There are three Hughes brothers playing in the NHL. Quinn, the oldest, plays for Minnesota. He currently plays for Minnesota. He was drafted by Vancouver back in 2018. Jack Hughes was the prize that everybody was looking at a couple of years. He did go first in 2019. He was drafted by the Devils. He is the middle child. The youngest child, Luke Hughes, is a defenseman. He is injured. He was drafted 4th overall in 2021. So you've got Quinn in 2018, drafted 7th overall. Jack in 2019, 1st overall. And Luke in 21, drafted 4th overall. So Thanksgiving dinners got to be a lot of fun. All three of the brothers taken in the first round and taken in the top 7 position. So, but Luke Hughes, the youngest of them all, defenseman, is currently injured. So we should not be seeing him tonight. So that covers the Hughes brothers. As far as just their family, I guess I could talk about their parents. Don't know, didn't note down. I'm sure they're wonderful people. I think their dad played in the NHL, but that I didn't get those stats. Let's talk about people we're going to see on the ice tonight. Number 28, right wing Timo Meier, first on the team in goals with 9. 9. Okay, the Preds goal leader has 10. But at home, this is at home. That seems really low. But, they don't score a lot of goals. They don't give a lot of goals. Anyway, so he leads the team with 9 goals. He leads the team in shots with 80. Next up, number 63, left wing Jesper Bratt, who is second on the team in goals with 8. First on the team in assists with 13. So he leads the team in points with 21. And then you got number 13 center Nico Hischier, also second on the team in goals with 8, second on the team in assists with 11, second on the team in points with 19. There's a tie. Number 91 center Dawson Mercer also has 11 assists. Okay, so the problem we've had, here you go again. Meier, left wing on the third line. I mean, I've seen this consistently lately, is that the teams with the goal scorer isn't the first line, and that's the way it is here. So you got Mercer, who is second on the team in assists with 11, centering the third line with Meier on the wing, the left wing, leading the team in goals with 9, and then rounding out that line is Haminaho. All right, okay, let's just keep talking about this third line, because Haminaho has 5 games since he was summoned. I think of the Comets. I didn't, just summoned. I didn't talk about him being called up. Oh, yeah, because it's 5 games, so it happened a while. So, but he's only played one home game. And he's 100%. Number 29, right wing Lenny Haminaho. He's got 1 goal on 1 shot in 1 game at home. So at home, he's 100% shooting percentage, which is just is awful. But he's 1 for 6 in the 4 away games that he has played in. So even though he doesn't really show up on the overall stats, so what does that make him? 2 for 7? 1/7. That's 14. So he's 28% overall. And in 5 games, the 5 games that he's played since being called up, and he plays with the goal scoring leader and the assist leader on the third line. Yes, I say the third line is what we've got to look out for. And so then, interestingly enough, the guy who's second in points with 8 goals and 11 assists, he centers the second line. He centers the second line with that new guy, Siplakov and Gritsyuk. Sometimes I feel like somebody's just got like a bunch of dice with letters on it, and they just roll it out in whatever order they come in is what the guy's name is. Look at some of this stuff, and I'm like, I haven't got a chance. I just don't have a chance of pronouncing this. And I know I got the one guy wrong, completely wrong. I heard them calling his name in the broadcast, and I just felt like an idiot every time. But, hey, that's one thing I don't spend my time on. I spend my time on looking at these arbitrary stats, not on how to pronounce somebody's name. So unless I haven't heard it, I'm going to get it wrong. Anyway, yeah, so Hershire, Gritsyuk, and Siplakov, Hershire, and Gritsyuk. That's the second line. Then we got Dadanov, Hughes, and Bratt on the first. And of those, Bratt, Jack Hughes, right. So anyway, let's keep moving on. Dawson Mercier, tied in second team for assists with the points. Luke Hughes, who's injured, his only stat was first on the team in ice time, 23:45, but made up. Second on the team is the other Hughes brother, number 86 center Jack Hughes, second on the team in ice time, 22:22. He centers the first line. And then he's second on the team in shots with 68. But again, those players don't really have the stats at home. And then we get Hameko. Been through... the guy leading, the only other person with a shooting percentage over 20, which is at 33%, is number 36 left wing Angus Crookshank, but he was reassigned to Utica back in December. So the only player with a shooting percentage over 20 is this Haminaho. And I think he's Swedish or Finnish, or it's one of those. Because it kind of looks like it's Hawaiian, but it's not Hawaiian. And anyway, yeah, I'm just rambling on here. Anyway, so that's the players to watch. Again, it's the third line. Watch out for the third line, Meyer, Mercer, and Haminaho. And Haminaho may, again, have only played 5 games, but overall he's 2 for 7, 1 for 1 at home, but he's only played 1 home game. And so that takes us to Nashville. For Nashville, leading the team on the road is number 91 center Steven Stamkos. He's got 10 goals. He's second on the team with points with 20. He's second on the team in shots with 55. Leading the team in assists is number 77 right wing Luke Evangelista with 16, but also tied with 16 assists is Mr. Stat, number 90 center Ryan O'Reilly, second on the team in goals with 9, first on the team with assists with 16. So that makes him first on the team in points with 25. He's third on the team in ice time, 1945. So he is the forward on the ice most of the time. On the ice, the most of the time is number 59 defenseman Romy Josi, 24:04. He's third on the team in shots with 53. The stat for Mr. Forsberg, number 9, left wing Philip Forsberg, first on the team in shots. Reed Schaefer is second on the team in shooting percentage, but he was reassigned to Milwaukee back on the 20th. He was at a 20% shooting percentage, 2 goals on 10 shots. Leading the team in shooting percentage is a guy that is playing with the Preds right now, number 71, right wing Matthew Wood, 7 goals on 33 shots for a 21.2 shooting percentage. Where is he on the team? What am I looking at? Wood. Where's Wood? Wood's fourth line. Yeah, Wood's on the fourth line. Forsberg, Riley, Evangelista. They got Stamkos on the second line. I think they said they had been playing Stamkos more on the first line with Forsberg, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes tonight. But that's your stats for Nashville on the road. Next up is momentum. And for momentum, neither one of these teams really have momentum right now. Both teams are on a 2-game losing streak. New Jersey is 5-5 in their last 10. They've had 2 4-game losing streaks. They're 12-10-2 at home. They're 0-1 on this homestand. They were 1-1 in the last homestand. The only thing I did note is that they are 7-4 against the Central. Which is that made me stop and take a look. They're 7-4 against the Central, and at home they're 4-2 against the Central. They've beaten Minnesota, Colorado, St. Louis, and Utah. Colorado, you might have noticed, one of the better teams in the league, leading the league. Minnesota, one of the top teams in the league. So they've beaten 2 of the top teams in the league at home. Their losses came to Dallas and Winnipeg at home versus the Central Region. On the road, they're 3-2. They're not on the road tonight, so who cares? But they've beaten Chicago, Utah, and Minnesota and lost to Colorado and Winnipeg. So they played Minnesota twice and beaten them both times, once at home, once on the road. And then they've beaten Colorado once, and then they've lost to Colorado, and then they've lost to Winnipeg twice. So they've lost to Winnipeg twice. They've beaten Colorado, but they've lost to Winnipeg. I didn't check. I wasn't paying attention to see if those were back-to-back situations. You know, I love my back-to-back situations, but that would have been just one more piece of analysis that now I'm sitting here scratching my head going, why didn't I look at this? Anyway, so not a lot of momentum for New Jersey right now. We're heading into the break. They've got to figure out what they're doing. They just did make a trade, so we'll see how that affects them. For the Preds, 10-11-3 on the road. They do have a 2-game losing streak, 5-4-1 in their last 10. They have not lost 3 in a row since the games after they came back from Sweden. They lost the last game in Sweden and lost 2, and they have not lost 3 in a row since the middle of November. Last road trip, they were 1-1, and they are 5-6 against the Metropolitan. So the Metropolitan Division, they've lost to Carolina twice. They beat Columbus once. They shootout win over the Islanders. They're 1-1 against the Rangers. They're 0-2 against Philadelphia. 1-1 against Pittsburgh, including an overtime win to both of those games in Sweden, and they're 1-0 against Washington. So that's been a tough division for them. Tough division for them to play in. And what have we got here? They goals for they've scored 17 goals for, and in their wins, they've scored, goals for goals. Okay, so they've scored 20 goals against the Metropolitan Division, given up 33. Giving up 33. So when the games that they've won, they have been the games that they've won, they're 5-6-0. They've won 5 games, and the 11-9 is the goal scoring. 11 goals for, goals against. Okay, 11-6. Sorry, I gotta figure out how to read this table. I made the table. It's my fault. But yeah, they've had 5 wins, and goal scoring in those 11-6. 11-6. The 2-1. It looks like 2-1 is the favorite score when they win. But yeah, 11-6 when they score, and when they lose, they've been outscored 3-1, 27-9, 27-9. Wow. 10 of those came against Carolina. Carolina beat the Preds in 2 games, 10-4. So anyway, that's the goals against wins and losses. Goals against wins. Oh, no, 9-27. 9-27. 3-1 when they lose, 2-1 when they win. And so it's tough. Not the best division. They do have a winning record against the Atlantic. They have a winning record against the Pacific. Kind of close to 500. I guess close to 500 in both the Central and the Metropolitan. But both of these teams need the win. Both teams coming in with a 2-game losing streak, and it is going to be a little bit of desperation time, kind of, for both of these teams. Both of these teams need a win. They need to get some wins under their belt. Only a couple of games left before the break, and at the break we'll see where everybody is at. But that's where we're at. We're heading to the break, both teams, and So tonight, 6:00 Central, Nashville Predators at the New Jersey Devils. Thanks for listening. I'm Preston Proctor, and you've been listening to Predators Proclivity.